Welcome to the ultimate guide on how to make friends and overcome homesickness during a working holiday visa. I'm Safia, your host, and today I'm sharing all the tips and tricks to help you create a vibrant social life and building meaningful connections while doing an incredible working holiday visa abroad. Before we get started, I'd like to give a huge thank you to our incredible sponsor, International Experience Canada, for making the Nomad Talks possible. On today's live episode, we're joined by Drew, a digital nomad from Toronto who caught the travel bug after living, working, and traveling in Taiwan for 1 year during a working holiday visa. And we're also joined by Jen from Gatineau, who did not 1, but 3 working holiday visas in Japan, Australia, and Chile. Wow, Drew and Jen, I'm so excited to have you with us today to share your unique working holiday visa experience. So let's kick things off with you, Drew. Can you share your personal experience of doing a working holiday visa and what inspired you to seize this amazing opportunity?
Oh, wow. That story stretches back maybe, I would say, about a year before I decided, or I made my final decision to jump over to Taiwan. I had finished university. I moved to Vancouver. I was living alone in Vancouver, and I was meeting a lot of people around the world. Vancouver has a really, really rich Asian community. I don't know if have you been to Vancouver?
I have.
Yeah. Have you been to Vancouver, Jen?
I've been to the airport.
Oh, you've been to the airport. Okay. Technically it counts. So yes, I met people when I was in Vancouver who were from India, from China, Taiwan, Hong Kong, many places. And when I was learning about the different value systems that they have in Asia, and particularly in Taiwan, and some of the incredible photography I'd seen and stories I've heard of, I grew this passion, this interest to wanting to jump over there and experience it. And it's largely because as well, I have no family and all of my European and African heritage that has ever touched foot in Asia. So I knew it was a territory that nobody has talked about in my family, and I wanted to pursue that. So I had a friend in Vancouver that I went to university with in Ontario, and she was in Vancouver at the same time I was, and she was Taiwanese. And while I was meeting all of these people, I guess her just inviting me and saying, "Hey, Drew, you should go to Taiwan." It was like the extra little hay that broke the camel's back. And it just triggered in my mind, I should just jump on it and I should do it. And that led me to the Working Holiday Visa website, or the International Experience Canada. And from there, it was all just getting the paperwork done to experience this new culture.
But it is a big leap between someone telling you, come to visit Taiwan, and actually moving for a whole year to Taiwan with the working holiday visa.
It was a cumulative experience of a lot of mental strength over maybe, I don't know, I would say about a year of meeting people and learning about that side of the culture. And I knew I already did a pretty good job at tackling loneliness and tackling being away from the family, because I did that in university, and then I did that when I left to Vancouver. So I knew that this is just the natural progression that I think, and what feels right to me I should do, is to just make that next big jump as far away as possible and hope for the best. And it worked out well. So
that's really courageous.
Yeah, thank you.
Jen, what about you? What inspired you to embark? Let's start with the first working holiday visa.
I honestly do not know what I was thinking. I have no idea. I graduated university early in a degree that I never ended up using, as many people do. So I was 20 years old, had a degree, and I was like, you know what? I don't want to work in this field. So I was like, what would make me feel better? I was like, maybe I'm working abroad, because my parents never traveled. So I've only been to 2 countries before I embarked on my first working holiday visa, as a trip. If we skip Disneyland, that doesn't count. So I had only been 2 places, but I was like, I don't want to spend all my money traveling. I was like, that doesn't seem smart. And then there'll be a gap on my resume. And I was stressed about it. So I was like, you know what? I'll just find a job abroad. And somehow I got the contract for Japan. I didn't do it through there's some programs and stuff. Yeah. I didn't do that. I just got a job with a school in Japan who shipped me there, trained me and everything. So I found my own apartment and everything myself. So yeah, I just got an opportunity, went, sure, let's do this.
You secured the job before.
Yeah, I did. Oh. And then got the visa and everything. So that's how I did it. But I don't know what I was thinking. I think 20-year-old Jen was a lot more brave than 29-year-old Jen. She was like, let's do this. So that's what happened.
Wow, that's inspiring.
Sounds like our approach is very different to it.
I went,
you both went to Asia after never traveling that far.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's quite a big step.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It sounds like you still enjoyed it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We had a great time.
I'm sure you did. Asia's amazing. Well, for those of you that are watching and that really have no idea what we're talking about with the working holiday visa, let me explain it quickly for you. So basically, the working holiday visa allows Canadian age 18 to 35 and 30 for some countries to travel, live, and work in up to 30 destinations across the world for up to 1 year or even 2 years for some destinations. So for more details, I'll leave a link in the comments here for International Experience Canada, and there you'll find all the details for applying for a working holiday visa like Jen and Drew. So I'm curious because I can clearly remember how I felt the first day, because I also did a working holiday visa in Australia, and I clearly remember the day before leaving, how stressed and how scared I was of leaving for that working holiday visa. So, Drew, can you also tell us a little bit how you felt before leaving for Taiwan on your working holiday visa? Like, was there any nervousness, excitement, a little mix of both?
I feel like up until that moment, I had adjusted myself well, like I said earlier, to being away from family. So I wasn't dealing with any, insecurities of, I'm leaving my family. What am I going to do? I'm not going to have any friends. So I didn't have that fear. I guess my anxiety came from knowing I'm going to a place where nobody could really understand me, at least to the extent I would want them to understand me. And I will be a little disoriented, not being able to read anything really quickly. I'll have to ask lots of questions. So I was feeling nervous adapting to the culture on the other side of the world. I had no idea what to expect other than from what I've heard from people who've shared stories and what I've seen on YouTube and on Google Images and stuff. So it was this rather confusing stage of like pure excitement, exhilaration, and then, nervousness and anxiety. And overcoming that, you can't, I can't say you can really overcome it before you go. It's just something you have to experience. Yeah, you're on the plane. You can't see anything outside. And when you land, everything is going to be flipped upside down, right? And when I did land and I arrived, I felt situated and I got myself situated comfortably. I did arrive in the COVID times as well. So there was a quarantine period and everything. Okay. So it kind of slowly immersed myself outside into the environment. But yeah, that's how I
guess that's why they used to have quarantine back in the day.
Yeah, maybe.
Right? Yeah. Kind of worked to your advantage in this case.
Nice little integration.
Yeah, it was. It was a nice little integration. They sent me like a safety kit and they called me every day to see how I'm doing. And I got to watch lots of TV. And
how's the food?
In the quarantine?
Yeah.
I was very, very, very lucky. My apartment landlord or landlady, she delivered me homemade Taiwanese food every day. I was the first foreigner she's ever had living at one of her apartments. And I was very lucky. She would drop it off. They took quarantine very serious. So she would drop it off and then call me down the road and be like, Drew, I sent you your food. And I was trying all of these different foods and everything. And so I was fed.
So it was a
by my
nice
second mom. Yeah. A very, very nice integration.
Oh, wow. That's a really good experience that you're going to remember, I'm sure, for a long time.
Definitely.
What about you, Jen? You're now a pro at traveling and working abroad with a working holiday visa. So how did you feel when you first left for Chile? So not your first working holiday visa.
Second one.
Yeah. Well, were you experiencing different emotions compared to your first working holiday visa?
Yeah, for sure. On my first one, it was kind of like Drew, where I was like, I can't read and I can't speak Japanese. So that's always like a big thing. You get there and you're like, what is happening? Whereas in Chile, my Spanish is not wonderful by any means. Let's not ask me to demonstrate because it won't be good. But it's good enough that I felt confident enough that like I could be understood, like a cab driver, stuff like that. Like I can figure it out. I can also read because it's the same alphabet. I speak French and English. Like you can guess most of the time. So I didn't feel as nervous about it. But the first 3 months of my Chile working holiday visa, I was going to a super northern island called Chiloé. It's in the middle of nowhere. The airport is the size of a McDonald's. You get there and you're like, what did I do? That's kind of how I felt when I landed. They have a horribly strong accent.
Yeah.
It's like one of the strongest accents I've ever heard. So I was kind of struggling with the Spanish. So reading came in clutch. But I felt like very out, like it wasn't what I was expecting when I got there. It's a beautiful island. It's really close to like Patagonia and everything. So like it's gorgeous. There's penguins and stuff. Like it's amazing. It's really, really cool. But it was so far from what I expected that I was like, oh, what did I do? And then like 2 weeks later, I was like, this is great. I'm having a great time. This is wonderful. Yeah. So I think whenever I started working holiday visa, I have just like 1 or 2 days at the beginning where I'm like, what did I do? And I get over it pretty quickly usually. But I think it's okay to have that like 1 day of like, oh no, as long as you get over it, you're fine.
Yeah.
So I give myself that day.
And you're only 1 flight away from home. So if you really don't adjust, you know that you can.
Yeah, that's right. You can always go back.
They were all very long flights for me though.
How long was the flight?
Chile and Australia were all very long flights. I don't do things halfway.
Right. So you make it work.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting perspective, I guess.
Yeah.
You just go for it, embrace it, and that's it. Well, you both seem like extremely social people, and I bet there are a lot of people that are watching that might be a little bit more shy and that could benefit from your tips on how to make friends in a foreign country, in Japan, especially when you don't speak the language. So Drew, how did you meet people and build a social network in Taiwan during your working holiday visa?
Great question. And I'll correct you at the beginning. I am very social, but in large groups, I tend to be a little bit more reserved. Usually after about 3 or 4 people, I would say my introvertedness comes out and I'm more of an observer rather than a complete speaker. Are you similar?
I'm the exact same.
Yeah.
I'm fine in a small group. Put me in a large group. I cannot.
I would say I'm an extroverted introvert.
Same.
I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
We're great performers.
We're acting now.
Yes.
No, when I moved to Taiwan, I had established a secure network of, I wouldn't necessarily call them friends because we weren't really close. But I had people I've been chatting with through Facebook groups and through certain social media applications in all major cities of Taiwan.
Oh, wow.
There was like one contact that I was connected with. And then, they always said, well, if you're ever in this area, come to my bar or come hang out or I'll show you around. So I kind of secured a net of like, okay, if I have no friends, I can always go over to this person and they're interested in meeting me and I'm interested to meet them, right?
Yeah.
It did take some time. I would say about 3 or 4 months prior to leaving, once I started getting all of the administrative work done and everything, I was also social networking on Facebook groups, on certain mobile applications.
Okay.
When I arrived in Taiwan, I didn't meet everybody that I had connected with prior. I think that's just bound to happen. And I didn't stay in the capital city of Taipei.
Okay.
So that made making friends a little bit harder. I did have like a best friend that I saw every day at work, and I grew a really, really strong friendship with him.
He was Taiwanese?
No, he was actually Egyptian.
Okay.
Yeah, he's half Egyptian, half Taiwanese. So he was working. Yeah. So he was working at the same school as me. And just based off of how I manage my friendships, I tend to like to have like fewer friends at closer relationships than a lot of them at more distance.
Yep.
So my network was quite small. But I think establishing that safety network outside in case something happens, you won't have to face any insecurities of loneliness or anything like that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about that. Yeah. What about you, Jen? Did you have a similar experience or did you explore different ways to connect with others during your time abroad?
Yeah. Do we have a specific country or can I just go wild?
Go wild.
Okay. It really depends on where I was. Like, obviously, I'm also pretty introverted. So I'm very comfortable being by myself.
Yeah.
It's important to have friends, obviously, but like I'm very, very comfy just being by myself. But every time I made it in a new country, obviously having a job helps.
Yeah.
Like even here, like I'm friends with my coworkers. So it's kind of the same. So I became friends with people. In Japan, the school that I worked for trained us. So it was a bunch of like newbies together. So all new fresh gaijins are like foreigners in Japan.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we all became friends pretty quickly. So it's nice to still have like those people and we still chat on Instagram. It's been like years. So that was a great way of meeting people. And then in places like Chile, where it was a bit more difficult because like I was working for a small business, so there weren't that many of us working there. So like, yeah, sure, I made friends, some of them, but some of them had kids and they were going back. And I was like, I want to hang out. You can't do those things. So I went to Bumble BFFs, which like Bumble dating app. We all know it, or we wish we didn't. And it has the other aspect of it of not the dating, which is to make friends, which I know sounds dodgy, but like I've actually made great friends off of it. In Australia, I made like super great friends with one girl, and we hung out basically like every other day. She's still in Australia. I came back. But like it was a great way to make friends, and I think it worked really well. It's really like a friend thing. It's not like a fake friend thing. Like I've never had bad experiences. Like anything with meeting people on apps, like be safe, go in public spaces and all that kind of stuff. But like I've never had bad experiences. I thought it was a great way to make friends. And I also like doing like little activities or stuff if I could. So I'm not really a gym girl, but like going to like small events or whatever, like pottery studios that gave like free nights or stuff like that. Like it was a fun little way of like meeting people. It was nice.
Oh, that's great. Well, you know, I never heard of Bumble BFF before you. So of course, like I always thought about it as a dating app. So it's great that you can actually meet friends that way. And what about you in your case, Drew? Did you have any valuable social media groups, apps, or online resources that you use to help you make connections?
Well, to build on what you were saying, I think the intention of the user going into any dating app really will dictate the type of friendship you have, right? You're going to get people who are on there for certain reasons. And no, I won't lie. I was using Tinder as a means of connecting with people and getting used to the community. And I did make friends. There's people who follow me on my journey now as a digital nomad traveling the world. And there were like matches that I met 3 years ago. Right. And they're still interested. And it's like, oh, if you ever come back to Taiwan, let's hang out. Even knowing I have a girlfriend, right? They're just connections that are interested in you. So I think it does depend on, you know, the energy and your intention. So yes, I did use Tinder as a means of social networking. Meetup is a great application you can download for organized events and such. Again, once I saw there was like 20 people to an event, I was like, okay, I don't know if I'm going to go to that one. I liked the smaller ones.
And it's cool because it's based also on your interests and everything. So, and there's so many different
you can filter things. You can filter things to fit whatever your personality is or whatever interests you have. For me, I am a musician and I like to play harmonica and sing and such. So I would go to open live mic jams in Taipei. There was a popular jazz bar underground, and I think it was like my second day out of quarantine. I went there because that's what I was familiar with doing in Vancouver, and I just quickly jumped up on stage and I made a small group of connections right from there that invited me back up every time I was in Taipei or whenever I went to that same bar. So I think taking those opportunities, and it's scary, right? But I think that's the lesson here, is to just jump on whatever you're afraid of, because it opens up new opportunities. And
that's so cool. That's really, I mean, once again, I think that's super brave to second day out of quarantine to jump on the stage like that.
Yeah, I was scared, but I was like, wait, if I already moved across the world, like, and I handled that, why can't I jump on the stage, right? And I mean,
most likely you're not going to bump into the people again.
Exactly. That's what I was saying. If I sound really, really bad, I mean, they'll never see me again. I just won't come back.
I used to do that with bad outfits. I was like, this outfit looks horrible. I will never see these people again. Like, it's fine.
It's fine. Embrace it.
Yeah.
Embrace yourself, right? Yeah.
Well, now back to you, Jen. I know it's a common thing to start missing home and at some point during a working holiday visa. You've been gone like 3 working holiday visas, so you must have missed home at some point. So since this is not your first rodeo, how did you cope with homesickness during your time abroad?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, I do give myself, like at the beginning of my trips, 1 or 2 days to be like miserable if I need it. It's like if I'm feeling like, oh my God, what have I done? I know that I just need 1 day of being like a potato and I'll be okay. So usually I give myself that 1 day. And then after that, I'm fine. But everyone's different. I think it's okay to allow yourself to be homesick for a little bit. As long as it doesn't take over your entire journey, it's fine. Like, usually here at home, I don't really listen to French Canadian music.
Okay.
I listen to only music in English. But sometimes if I'm starting to feel a little homesick, I have a playlist of like French Canadian music that I like. And I listen to it like walking on the beach in Australia and those kind of stuff. So I think that helps. Or like movies or TV shows, books, whatever. If that helps, go for it. But I think also like it's not because you're abroad that you have to stop talking to your people. Like I kept what I call like a forever conversation with some friends where you never say goodbye, basically. Sometimes it takes 9 hours for someone to answer you because they went to sleep and there's a 13-hour time difference or something. But that's fine. You just like keep it going. And you just like message them. You don't worry about it. And that's how we did it. WhatsApp's great.
Yeah.
use that a lot.
Yeah.
I think it worked fine. And just like stories on Instagram, and people are like, oh my God, where are you?
Yeah.
Just keep those channels open. And you'll, in my experience, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Find
agree.
small
I agree.
stuff to do, like find a cute coffee shop you're excited to visit. Like as long as you keep yourself like invested in your life,
Right.
you'll be fine.
Yeah.
In my
I
opinion.
agree.
I love the idea of the playlist though, and the movies and stuff like that. It's not something that I thought about, but
Yeah.
it's true. Like sometimes when you're caught into that, especially when it's a different language, like in Chile or in Japan or in Taiwan, where you're kind of stuck in that bubble,
Yep.
to kind of go back into what makes you feel at home.
Yeah.
It's a good
Yes.
idea. Great approach. And what about you, Drew? Do you have any specific strategies for dealing with homesickness? while
My
you're
my
abroad?
advice is quite similar to what you were saying. And you know, humans, we're creatures and we're social creatures, right?
Yeah.
And if you look at a cat, if you move a cat into a new environment, right, what do? They usually get anxious because it's new territory and they don't know how to adapt to it. So as soon as I landed in Taiwan and I started to feel a little wave of anxiety, I started to clean up my apartment, my immediate surrounding, and made it as similar to home as I could, right? I put on movies, like you said. I put on music that reminded me of my childhood.
Yeah.
I went out shopping and I bought some brands, Coca-Cola, let's just say, and I put it in my room, right? Because I feel like if you wake up and you're already comfortable in that immediate environment, you can then exit into the real world and then, you know, slowly start to operate and immerse yourself. It does start with those little things. But yeah, to build on what you were saying as well with social media, that's why we have so many social media applications. Like our parents and our sisters, our friends, brothers, they're all just as interested to know what's going on the other side of the world with you as you are as interested to, you know, with what's going on there. And if you create that bridge, whether it's just a group chat and you send photos every once in a while, it does help. It helps them because they miss you, and it helps you too because you know that they're missing you, and that's sometimes all you need.
To build on the Coca-Cola thing, I have something super silly, but there are some brands who taste the same in every country. Starbucks, Subway, McDonald's.
McDonald's,
like, there are always some weird McDonald's stuff in every country. But like, if you're feeling homesick, like go eat a Subway sandwich. Walk into a Subway sandwich. It will smell the same as it does back home every time.
Yes, you're right. Just having like a McDouble burger for me, and I just close my eyes. I'm like, okay,
You're anywhere.
I'm home.
But it's also such a normal phase to go through. Like what I found is that there's kind of 3-month phase. Like every 3 months, I would feel like that little, you know, lump, and I'm like, I don't know, I'm feeling kind of down, and there's something affecting me or whatever. And then I realize, it's because, you know, I'm a little bit homesick, and it's normal to go through that phase. It's really like you're gone, you're away from all of your I have the word in French, but
I can translate.
Ooh, your bearings.
Yes, your bearings.
Yes.
Oh God, that was a hard one.
So sometimes just to find those little bearings can bring you back. But like, exactly, I find that it's a phase. You just go, it's a roller coaster, and then you're back up, and then you're so happy and excited to be where you are and living that adventure. And it's such a great experience.
Yep.
So I love the tip that you pointed out of having a group chat to kind of, because the people at home, they do miss you.
Yeah.
And so you can keep that connection going. So what about you, Jen? Do you have any additional tip that you'd like to share? Did you find a similar approach to Drew when it comes to staying connected and avoiding loneliness?
Yeah, I really did that too. Like the group chats and everything. I think it really helped. And even then, like, I have a lot of friends who don't know each other. So there was a lot of like singular chat of like talking about the same thing, but in like totally different points of view. It was really interesting to do that as well. So yeah, I have friends from all over the world too. It's like sometimes my friends are just like not up at the same time. So you chat with who's available.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I don't love them all equally. It just means you chat with who's awake.
And in terms of the different countries where you did a working holiday visa, did you find that there was a difference in terms of that feeling of loneliness or homesickness?
Yeah, I didn't feel it as much in Australia personally. I think it's because everyone speaks English and I speak English, surprisingly. But I think that's why I didn't feel as much, because it didn't feel so far from home. There's also a surprising amount of Canadians in Australia.
True.
So
Really?
if you're looking for them, you can find them.
Fascinating.
There was a bar in my city where I lived that made Caesars, which is not a common thing when you're abroad. So, you know, we could find our own people very easily.
Even Poutine, there's such a big community, because I was in Sydney and in Melbourne.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's a huge community of Canadian and French Canadians as well.
Oh my God, yeah.
And it felt, even though you're halfway across the world in Australia, it feels like you're just next door in Toronto.
Yeah.
I had that feeling the whole time, so I kind of agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so in Japan and Chile, you did feel a little bit more of that loneliness and homesickness?
For sure.
This is very different from Canada,
Yeah,
right?
I was also younger,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
which does change in some ways. Like, I think, not for everyone, obviously, but for me, I grew more confident as I got older. So,
Yeah.
like, obviously, when I was in Australia, I was like a few years ago. So I was just like, I'm good. I'm great.
Yeah.
You like me or you don't. I don't care. So I cared more when I was younger.
So with so many of these experiences that you had, there must have been some highlight or turning point during your working holiday visa. So what was a moment that made you fully embrace and cherish your working holiday visa experience enough that you did 3 working holiday visas around the world?
I know, right? I think there are so many. There's just so many crazy things that you like don't realize were that crazy until you go back and look on them.
Yeah.
So like living in that tiny, tiny town in Chile on that island where it's like close enough to the poles that it's pretty cold
Yeah.
was definitely something that I was like, what am I doing here? But it was amazing. And I made great friends with the people working at that hotel who did not speak a lick of English or French or anything. And I think like going out to do things with those people really made me feel like, oh my God, like very few people know how the people on this island live. And
Right.
I get to experience it because it's not a place people go. So like the owner of the hotel took me to like, I think his grandfather's house, and they were making a specific kind of like apple juice that like ferments into, I think it's called chicha. It's like a fermented apple thing, but it's like this massive press that looks like medieval. Like it's old, like it's wild. And he put like a bunch of apples in it, and there's bees everywhere because there's like apple juice. But it's like so cool to see a tradition that's been so like lovingly taken care of over the years. And I'm like, the amount of people not from that island who have seen this, like I'm
You feel privileged.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, this is insane. So getting those kind of experiences is really what made me feel like, oh my God, like
Yeah.
I'm out here. And in Japan, I made friends with a sushi chef who really loved foreigners for some reason. So he was really into Americans, and I had American friends, so I could like wiggle myself
Yeah,
into
yeah.
and he did what we call omikaze. So like he serves you whatever he wants.
Oh, nice.
And it's incredible if you're not a picky eater, but I am not. I love trying new stuff. And just sitting at that table and having umeshu, which is like super traditional plum wine that he made himself, and
Wow.
drinking that while he serves you things like tuna jaw, which sounds crazy, but
That-
was delicious.
Wow.
Like I will never eat that again in my entire life, but it was amazing just like tasting those flavors and trying those things and having conversations in like broken English with that man was just such a cool experience. We
Yeah.
still follow each other on Facebook, and I still see stuff that he makes, and I'm just like, I can't eat this now. It makes me very sad. But those kind of things, like those connections, like human connections, are really what made it for me, I think.
Wow, those sound
Beautiful.
like really unforgettable moments.
Yeah.
Hungry.
Beautiful. You're creating like a whole story of memories that you'll never forget.
Exactly.
Right? And that's the beauty of
All
it.
surrounding people too, so I think
Yeah.
that's really cool.
And
That's
what about
wonderful.
you, Drew? Did you also have a standout experience or turning point that made your whole working holiday visa experience truly special?
Yeah, actually, there are 3 instances at 3 different stages
Yeah.
of my working holiday visa. The first one was, and you know, you're going to look at this as not necessarily a good experience, but it was a turning point. It
Yeah.
was about 2 weeks after my quarantine finished. I was out in the real world, and I was invited to a house party on top of a big hill
Okay.
above Taipei. So it was North Taipei. And I was sitting there, I was drinking with my Taiwanese friends. It was a big group, maybe like 15 people. And nobody's speaking English. I can't read anything. And it was just like a flood of realization that I am here. I'm far away from everything I know. And I started to get shaky. I started to get anxious, right? I immediately excused myself to the washroom. I just needed some time to ground myself. And I put on some music. Like you said, I put on some music right away that reminded me of home. And I kind of just calmed myself down in my own space. And it was in that moment, I was like, okay, this is a big turning point because it's telling me I'm afraid, right?
Yeah.
And if I can beat this won't happen again. And if I can beat this here in Taiwan, I can beat it back home in Canada in the future as well,
Yeah.
right? So it was a big mental turning phase. About 2 months later, I saw some dancers outside in a south city of Taiwan. They were like K-pop dancing to a song.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was around nearby, and my friend said, Drew, you're a dancer. Go over there and try dancing. I was like, no, I'm not gonna. And he's like, come on, go break a move. And I slowly started to mingle over there. And I started to dance with them, and they put on the music louder, and they invited me into their dance group, and I was just like freestyle dancing with these group of, I think it was like 8 or 9 Taiwanese girls. And yeah, they were trying to talk to me, and I couldn't understand what they were saying, and I was just using my body language to say yeah and thumbs up. At that point, I realized I completely embraced where I was.
Yeah.
And the third turning point was a couple months after I had met my girlfriend. I met my girlfriend about 5 months into my working holiday visa experience, and she took me to this indigenous community in the mountains of central Taiwan. It was like really, really, really hidden off the beaten path. We drove like 9 hours to get to it. I wish I remember the name, but it was a very, very small village, and I got to eat freshly made bamboo rice with indigenous people at a restaurant. It was like you have to rip open the bamboo, and you've got rice steamed inside of it. It was like the most fresh, delicious rice I have ever had. And at that stage, I knew I was thriving in my experience. I was happy. I was inviting new experiences completely, and I was exploring. Yeah, and after that, it was just again, it was all uphill. So
seafood's really important to both of us. Just tell about the food.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing those moments. With us. Like it's really significant. It seems like in your working holiday visa experience.
Yes, definitely.
So let's talk about, we've spoken about it a bit before, but the staying connected with loved ones back home. Jen, how did you maintain those strong relationships and communications with your family and friends while on your 3 working holiday visas?
I mean, I think it's important to say that I have a very close circle of friends as well. And I think I don't have a bigger circle of friends because I left on so many working holiday visas. And I'm okay with it. Like, it means only my really close friends like stuck around. And I'm happy to have them because they're amazing. But like, there are a lot of people that I could have potentially stayed friends with from like high school or like university that we just like stopped talking. You know, I was doing other things. They were doing other things. And I'm okay with it. We still follow each other on social medias. We like our posts and stories. We're all good. Yeah. But I have that tight-knit circle of friends. And it was really about messaging. I know a lot of people do like FaceTime calls and all that, but I personally am not huge on those. I'm a writer now, so that might explain it. But I just like writing to people because then you don't have that pressure of like responding immediately to. You have time to think. You can send like a bunch of stuff. And my friends know, like, I'll message you 6 times in a row. Like, I do not care. Like, if I have 6 thoughts, you will get 6 messages. Put your notifications off during the night because our timelines are different right now. Like, be aware. And in Chile, they're really, really big on voice notes.
Oh, yeah.
So that also started becoming a thing. I started kind of doing like podcasts to my friend on WhatsApp, basically. I was like, hey, come on Jen's Day with me.
Oh my God.
Like, come along. I even had like Jen's cooking with one of my friends where I would just talk to him while I was cooking, but like on voice notes. So he didn't have to answer me right away. It was like a cooking show for one person. I think it was amazing. So we did like silly things like that, just like to have fun together. And I think it worked well. I did Skype my parents a few times because, you know, they would have hated me if I didn't.
Wow, Skype.
But, yeah, well, you know,
not FaceTime?
It's been a while. It's been a while. It was like what 8 years ago when I was in Japan.
Oh, okay. So maybe FaceTime.
Zoom didn't exist.
Yeah, Zoom didn't exist.
Nothing. Yeah, I'm old, guys. No, I'm kidding. Not that old. I can still do some working holiday visas if I wanted to.
Oh, that's not old. No, but I love the creative way of doing like the Jen podcast with the voice messages. Like. That's
a smart way to do it.
Had a good time.
Yeah. And it's also nice for your friends to hear your voice and everything, and they kind of get into your daily routine with you. That's super cute. Yeah. I really love that. Well, I mean, that's so cool, but nothing beats in person, right, Drew? That's why you're here in Canada to visit your family.
That's right.
So you popped back for a short visit because you've been on the road as a digital nomad ever since leaving Taiwan on your working holiday visa.
Yes, that's right.
So tell us, now that you're here in Canada, what did you miss most about Canada while you were abroad?
Okay, so to give the listeners some context, I did my working holiday visa in Taiwan, came back home for 3 months with my Taiwanese girlfriend. She's never seen a Western country, so she was astonished to come, excited. So we did it, and then we decided, okay, let's continue our travels together because we worked online, right?
Yep.
So we went to Thailand for 6 months. We did Indonesia, Hong Kong, Taiwan. We did Korea. We did Japan. So I did 3 months in Japan as well. And now I am back for only three weeks. But while I was traveling all of Asia, I would eat at McDonald's whenever I felt homesick because, McDonald's is just part of so ingrained in our culture, right? Growing up. So I would do that. But, to be very tangible about it, I would say I really just missed my Tim Hortons. Like having a double-double, I'm so used to doing it. My whole childhood, my dad would go through the drive-thrus and order double-double. And it's like, oh, I just want a double-double. Even though the lattes in a lot of these countries are actually so much better. So much better. Our double-doubles are not as good. But I just miss it. I miss seeing my Tim Hortons. It was part of my college, my university experience and everything.
It's a beacon of hope.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And there is one Tim Hortons in Bangkok. And there is a Tim Hortons in Bangkok. They have a giant Timmy's cup outside. Like I'm talking maybe 20 feet high.
Do you have Timbits?
Yes, they do have Timbits. And it's very fascinating because when you're in the Tim Hortons building, it's treated like luxury food. Like a double-double. They have it. It's called the Canadian double-double. It's like $6 Canadian for it. And they serve it to you on a platter. Right? They serve the freshly dipped donuts. Yeah, because they're not used to it. I know, right? I told my friends and they're like, oh, Drew, does it still taste like sewer water? That's what my friend said.
I mean, I've been to Bangkok 20 times and I swear I've never heard of the Tim Hortons in Bangkok.
I don't know. When did you go?
I was last there in April.
Yeah, there's just Tim Hortons there. I was there a year and a half.
I guess I don't miss Tim Hortons.
Yeah, you wouldn't look it up. I looked it up. I was like, I wonder if it's here. And they did. They did have one. So I would say I missed that the most.
I'm guessing that's relatable to a lot of people. Unfortunately, not me. But relatable. What about you, Jen? Living in a foreign country can make us miss a lot of things from home. So what did you miss most about Canada during your working holiday visa?
I have a very silly thing, but in Japan, I don't fit in Japanese women clothing.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really frustrating. So that was the thing. I was like, I miss shopping for stuff.
Yeah.
So there are some like small items that you missed, or even like makeup. Like I'm not the same coloring as a lot of people in different countries, so that's gonna be
also
hard
a lot
to
of
find.
Whitening products,
and I don't want that, or even like deodorant or toothpaste, or like not what you're expecting.
Yeah, they don't wear deodorant.
And then
that's so weird.
Yeah, and then toothpaste is like not the same, and I'm like, I care about my toothpaste. So there are like little things like that were really the things that stood out to me, and I was like, I miss those things. And you know what I missed a lot? Central heating. There are places like in Chile where I was and I would complain I'm cold and people were like, the Canadian's complaining she's cold. Like, she's Canadian. She can totally handle this. And I was like, when I leave, like when I'm in Canada, I'm in my house, it is warm. It's when I go outside, it's cold, but it's hot inside. Here, it's cold inside and outside because your walls are 10 centimeters thick.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, it's freezing all the time. How do you do this? So, yeah, I had feelings about that too.
I absolutely understand. I'm always talking about that for Europe. People are like, the winter in Europe is so bad, but like, you're Canadian.
Yeah.
It's not that bad for you. And I'm like, no, actually, you know what? In summer, like not in summer, but in winter, we've short sleeve. We can walk bare feet in our apartment because of central heating.
That's right.
We've mastered winter.
Yes.
Yes.
And it's not the same everywhere.
Ingrained in our DNA.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, in my case, I think I miss also my friends from home, but I have to say that being back in Canada, I also miss the friends that I made abroad.
Yes.
So, Jen, did you have any meaningful encounters or friendships that you believe will last a lifetime thanks to your working holiday visa?
Absolutely. I definitely went on trips because of like working holiday visas, you know, like in between and stuff. So there was one friend I met when I was in China for a little bit, and then we ended up after a working holiday in between that we met up in Hong Kong. So it's like people often back home are like, oh, we can go meet up there or meet up there. And it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But like when you meet people who are hard the same way as you, have like that kind of like travel bug, and you're like, hey, let's meet in this random country because it's in the middle of where we're both going. And we did it. And it was like amazing. She's Russian. So, you know, like it just was a random place. I think she lives in Norway now, like with her husband who's from China. You know, it's a whole thing. But like having those people is really incredible. Like my birthday passed not too long ago, and getting all those like birthday messages from people all over. You're like, oh my God, I wish I could go see you and see all of them. But we still talk. Like even if I don't see them anytime soon, like I can speak with them. And if I ever go to whatever country they're in, I can like hit them up. And it's really, really nice. but I do miss them a lot.
Yeah.
That's so
Well, you share such
heartwarming.
special experiences with them, right? And those
Yeah.
are hard to fade away.
Yeah, I went to a really, really cringy maid cafe with one of them.
Oh, I went to
and
a
I will
maid cafe.
never
Those
forget
are
that experience.
yeah.
It was
Just
probably
the whole
weirder
maid
for
cafe
you.
in general.
Oh,
A
what
maid
now?
cafe? Okay.
How do you even explain the
It'll be
significance of a
it will
maid
be
cafe?
less weird if I explain it.
Okay,
than if
please
you
go
do, I
ahead and
think.
take it over.
There are cafes where it's usually women who work there dress up as maids, like black frilly outfits and whatever. Yeah. And they do like little performances and they're very like kawaii and everything's cute and all the food has like little designs of like little cats or stuff on it. Like it's very experience based, but the like waitresses are there to like be cutesy and be like friendly with you.
It's very interesting.
And it's a very strange experience.
It is.
It seems
Um,
cringy.
But it's
looking.
a very
Well,
based on your
so-
face.
From
so
our
bad.
standards, yeah, it's a little out of there.
Yeah, but it's the kind of thing that you're like, I'm so curious about how it
Yeah,
is.
that's
and
right,
you're
that's
like,
why I
I
was-
kind of have to do it.
Okay.
And they have like different ones. Like I think now in Tokyo there's like a muscle bar where it's all like women who like work out like a lot, like a crazy amount. So they're all super buff and they will like press a whole orange in your drink like with their hands if you ask for something. So Japan's really big on like those kind of things of like
Yeah.
having a theme and sticking to it.
Yeah.
So it's a fun time, but it's like it's an experience.
It is an experience. It's worth it. It's a little taste of real Japanese culture, right? It's a subculture, definitely.
Yeah,
it's a
absolutely.
subculture.
Subculture
Yeah.
for sure. Otaku culture is a thing.
Sorry, what culture?
Otaku, it's like the anime nerds.
Oh yeah,
Sorry,
yeah, I'm sure
sorry.
that's quite.
I hope I didn't offend anyone.
Well, I kind of have an idea of what you're going to say for this one, Drew, but what about you? Were there any special encounters or friendships that left a lasting
I know
impact during
A lot
the
of people are
working
gonna think it's
visa?
cheesy, and a lot of people are gonna think it's cheesy. But yes, I mean, I have been with my girlfriend now for almost, well, it's been 2 years and just a month, right? We've had our
Congratulations.
anniversary. Thank you. And it started because of my experience in the working holiday visa, right? And we are, I don't want to say we're living the dream, right? But we are working together. We flourish together. Everything it works perfectly. And we travel the world together, embracing different cultures together. And that wouldn't have been possible without the working holiday visa. So
That's
at the core of our relationship is a really is a deep friendship, and I think that I'm very thankful for the experience of going overseas to be able to have that.
That's amazing. Oh, it's really cute. So, looking back at your entire working holiday visa experience, would you consider doing a working holiday visa again?
I definitely, if it makes sense with where I am in my career and my life, I don't see why anybody would reject it. To be honest, I think the
Do you have an idea where you would like to do it?
Somewhere in Europe.
Okay.
Right,
You have
somewhere
the
in
choice. I
Europe.
think there's like 20.
I know. I don't
countries
know
in
yet. I don't know
Europe
yet.
Where you can do a working
I don't know
holiday
yet.
visa.
See, because what I'm doing right now with my digital nomading and
Yeah.
running my own business online, the working holiday visa experience of going into a new culture and such. I'm already kind of doing that right now, so
course.
it works out well for me. But if I, for whatever reason, couldn't continue my work or couldn't travel, the working holiday visa would be the immediate thing I would choose.
And
to
it would
lean on.
also allow you, because Canadians, we can only, especially in the Schengen area, we can only stay 3 months out of
Yes, that is
6
right.
months. So if you
I can extend it
wanted to
longer.
stay for a year or longer, that would also allow you to
Yes.
stay longer in that country.
Yes, that's right. So that's a
Or in
benefit of it.
Europe.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I totally understand that. And I would do another working holiday visa if I could. So, Jen, after reflecting on your first working holiday visa adventure,
Yeah.
what made you decide to go through this amazing experience 2 more times?
Yeah. I'm again like, I think it seems like I've planned things because I did all the things, but I really didn't. I was just kind of like, being in Japan was fun.
Yeah.
Being back home is kind of boring. What if I just left again?
Mhm.
I had an opportunity with a company called Step Abroad, who's based in Vancouver. They help people going on working holiday visas. They're a partner of our partner for today's podcast too, so like those kind of things. And I reached out to them to see if they would like me to write for them and in
Okay.
exchange
Fascinating.
be
That's
kind of
good.
like a guinea pig. So I was the first person they sent on their Chile program, and I wrote for them in exchange.
Amazing.
So it
Good.
was like a work exchange. So I was just like, I said that email. I was just looking at opportunities kind of anywhere in the world, honestly. And Chile's the one that stuck. And I really have, well, now I have a really deep love for South America and Central America. Like, I really enjoy the culture, the vibe. Like, I speak enough Spanish to survive. So I kind of just went for it. But I just missed doing my own thing. Like, when you're back home, there's like a certain expectations also. Yeah. And it's nice going somewhere where like no one knows you.
And now that you
fresh.
Exactly.
Always starting fresh.
You can be whoever you want.
Yes. Wear whatever you want.
Yeah.
And now that you've been home for a bit, are you considering doing another working holiday visa?
I've bought like 40 plants. I'm worried they would die if I
That's the only thing holding you back.
Honestly, yeah, that and like the couch and stuff. You know, you start accumulating things and you're like, oh, I'm stuck here now.
Oh.
But honestly, like I still do travel a fair bit. I'm trying to get more into it. Like I said, I'm writing, so I can kind of do the digital nomad thing as well.
Yeah,
that seems to fit my lifestyle a little better. But I'm not like putting it off the table. Like I think it could be interesting. I'm not sure I would go back to teaching, but it could be fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like it could be an option. I'm not saying no, I won't do it again. I still have a few good years.
Yeah, you
maybe
do.
I will.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah,
If it makes sense.
why not? If it's a fun opportunity, like why not?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So now that you've been back, I can imagine that returning home after a working holiday visa can come with its own sets of adjustments. How did you navigate reverse culture shock when you return home? Any uplifting tips for others going through similar experience?
For me, like reverse culture shock, not from Australia, because honestly, like that wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
But for Japan was the worst because I came back to Canada and I was like, oh my God, I can read everything and I can understand everything that everyone's saying around me. And it was like sensory overload. I was like, I'm so used to like zoning out. Like basically like I would just like, I can't understand in Japan, so I'm not listening to people's conversation next to me. Like I don't know what they're talking about.
You're in your own bubble.
Exactly. Yeah. And that bubble was burst when I was in Canada. And I do love being here, obviously. But it was just like, oh my God, it's so different. And there are tiny little things. Like in Japan, you bow for everything, like in thanks. So like, you know, when you're at a crosswalk and a car lets you pass, usually you go like a little wave or something. But I still bowed to them in Canada, which looks like you just stripped over your feet or you're like a very strange person for doing that. And I was all like, I did that for a few weeks. Like I could not get out of it. And I was like, that looks so silly. So there were these kind of things too, or like just not knowing what language to go to because you get used to certain like words and everything. Yeah. So that happened to me for a little bit. Japan, I would say more than Chile. I think Chile as well, when I finished my working, when I quit my job, like, you know, when it finished, I traveled a little bit too. So I was more with other foreigners traveling in like hostels, hotel, whatever. So I got kind of like a slow little integration into being back in a world full of like English speakers or French speakers.
So having a little transition helps.
Definitely, for sure.
Yeah, I did the same thing. Coming back from Australia, I didn't want to like quit my job and then jump on the plane, go back to Canada. I'd be like, that'd be such a shock.
Yeah.
So I did 10 days in Fiji as well.
Oh, the dream.
Yeah, I just felt like it would help with the transition and everything and just kind of get back into
vacation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that, because it's hard. You live there. You have you build a social network, you have your job and everything, your apartment where you live, your flatmates, and just stopping all of that from one day to the other, I find it's just like traumatizing. Yeah. So that's really valuable advice. And Drew, since you're working holiday visa in Taiwan, you've been exploring the world as a digital nomad. And so you haven't really experienced culture shock or reverse culture shock, I mean. So how do you think you'll handle the adjustment when you eventually return home?
Yeah. Well, I mean, after my working holiday visa, I did come home for 3 months.
Okay.
I was home. Yeah. I was home in Canada for 3 months with my girlfriend.
Yeah.
And being home now as well. It's been about 3 weeks, right? But no, you guys might have to challenge me on this because I have a bit of a different opinion. I think in order to have a reverse culture shock, and it's insinuated in the actual expression, is that you already had to have experienced a culture shock, right? And you had gotten through that. Yeah. And however you had gotten through that, you're going to have to get through it again the same way when you come home, except I'm assuming it would probably be easier because you're familiar with home, right?
Yeah.
And even for me, I experienced it just last week when I was seeing some old friends at the Apple store up in Waterloo, which is near Toronto. I hadn't seen this person for 10 years and he went for a hug. And I'm used to people not hugging in Asia because that's kind of an awkward thing to do, right? It's not a thing, right? Unless you're very, very close. So I went for a handshake instead and we kind of did this awkward back and forth thing, right? And I was like, oh, wow, I'm in Canada. I can hug people.
Yeah.
I'm not used to it, right? But for me, I just find that fascinating and interesting. And I don't think there's anything wrong with bowing. And I think when we live in such a diverse country like Canada, and we pride ourselves on our diversity, it's okay to embrace those differences because a bow means thank you and a handshake means thank you. And we're all humans just experiencing the same thing. So
I find a lot of times too, it's just that you've had a year with such crazy experiences and you've done so many things and you've traveled and you've worked and you've met so many new people from all over the world. And then you go back home and you realize that not so much has changed.
Yeah, you're right.
This was a shock for me. I don't know if it's something that you guys have experienced as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like seeing also how like the trajectory of other people's lives have gone like in a more traditional way, which isn't bad. Like you do you, like
of course.
But I didn't take a traditional route, so like the way my life ended up being is fully different from some of my friends. Like now I'm Auntie Jen to some like babies, and I'm like, what is this? When did you become a mother and not just a girl I went to clubs with a few years ago, like when we were in town? So it's there is a certain shock to that, but at the same time, it's like I don't know. It's embracing where you've come from and like where you're going.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting that we have different paths. We have very different stories. And I really like my stories.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. When you frame it like that, you're right, actually. And I think about it, it's like, yeah, you're right. You know, my friends have been like, oh, here goes Drew leaving to go travel the world again. And I have to go do my 9-to-5 job. And it's like, well, we're just on different paths. And when you experience the diversity of the world, I think it makes you appreciate your home roots as well. Yeah. Right. And you can feel that and see that when you come home. So to adjust to the culture shock, I think it just takes
time
and patience and time. And naturally, you'll fall back into your roots with more wisdom.
Yeah. I have a hard time believing that because you left again to travel the world and you did 2 other working holiday visas. So
all right, we'll have to reconnect again in a couple of years.
I've been back for a few years.
You did 3 working holiday visas.
Yeah, but I came back because of a global pandemic.
That's
but,
true. Yeah, you adjusted back, right? Yeah, that counts.
In an apartment.
Okay, fair enough.
She acclimated to the Canadian.
All right, so let's round up this beautiful conversation. I'm sure we could talk on and on and on about the working holiday visa. So, Drew, what empowering advice would you give to someone who's contemplating doing a working holiday visa and wants to embark on, as we said, this life-changing adventure?
Yeah.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure at all. There's one person sitting there watching like, should I do it? What's Drew going to say? Should I do it? You know, it's similar to advice I had previously given, and it's that you can think of hundreds of reasons to not do something because we're comfortable in our environments, right? Like I mentioned with the cat, right? We don't like to be in new situations all the time, and anxiety and things like that show it. But in my opinion, the growth and the wisdom, the worldview, the adventures, the memories, the experiences, the friendships that you gain from taking that little short-term risk is life-changing. And you will find ways to utilize those adventures and that wisdom somehow in your future. Similar to what you were doing with your podcast and your writing and what I'm doing now with my one-on-one coaching. It all stemmed from that decision to, okay, I'm going to book that flight to Taiwan. And once you book it, you feel obligated to follow through because it's your money, right? And we value money so much. So I encourage people not to justify not doing it when you feel the urge to do it. Follow that spark. Yes.
Nicely said.
Thank you.
Jen, your turn to inspire us. Gosh, what advice would you like to give?
Follow that up. I think the what ifs are way worse than actually doing it. Like if you don't do it and then you're like 35, you can't do them anymore. And you're like, what if I had done that? I think this is going to feel a lot worse than anything could happen when you're over there. Like if you're thinking of worst case scenarios, I think the what ifs later on will feel way worse than any of the worst things that could happen to you abroad. So that would be my big thing of like just doing it. And then if we want an adult proper thing that will make my mom proud, it looks great on a resume.
Oh,
I've gotten the job that I currently have and I've held for 3 years.
Wow.
Because I had on my resume. They were like, you're more interesting than the others. Because I had done 3 working holidays. So, you know, if you want to spin it to your parents or something, like, use that.
Yeah.
Use that. It will work. Less like nice and flowery, but hey, it works with the parents.
It's for my career.
Exactly.
For my career.
Hey.
Can't go wrong with
Money
that.
rules everything, guys.
Yes, it's true.
Amazing. Thanks, Drew and Jen, for joining us today and sharing your working holiday visa experience. So for those of you that are watching us live, it's now your turn to ask the question about overcoming homesickness and making friends during a working holiday visa experience. So write your comments here, your questions in the comments, and we will answer them. Okay, let's see here. I have a first question for Drew from Instagram.
Yes.
So, how did the working holiday visa experience lead you to become a digital nomad?
Wow. Oh my gosh. Now I have to think back to exactly how the map looks and where it led. Prior to going on my working holiday visa to Taiwan, I had no experience teaching,
Okay.
right? And I knew that in Taiwan, that's the common, road path is you're going to go to Taiwan, you're going to teach English, right? So I was like, okay, well, if I was able to do this before in life, I think I could do this, right? So I went and I jumped on it, and it was very, very stressful at first because you're in a new job, and again, a new country, new language. Your manager cannot communicate very clearly to you, right? So there's a lot of burden, but slowly you find your path and you become comfortable with it. And I enjoyed teaching.
Okay.
I wouldn't say I enjoyed teaching children, right? It takes a certain level of patience to work with children, but I enjoyed the process of teaching.
Okay.
So once I left Taiwan and I came back to Canada, I was working as an online teacher for a Taiwanese company.
Okay.
Yep. It was really exhausting because I was working during the nighttime at like 1 a.m. until 8 a.m., right? It was very unrealistic. And I was working with adults who wanted to improve conversational English.
Yep.
And I was going at a level of detail that I had learned from my experience in Taiwan, much more than what they wanted of me on the online platform. So they were saying, Drew, you're going too much. You're teaching too well, right? We don't want you to teach that. Just follow the curriculum. Right? In some of these other countries and, the way the organizations are set up, it's about just following the rules. It doesn't matter if you're right or wrong, right? So it was that pressure where I knew, okay, if I'm doing, I could be doing something better, right? But I'm being limited. So I'm going to try to branch off on my own.
That's cool.
I started my own coaching business at that point, and I'm my own marketing. My girlfriend's Taiwanese, so she speaks Mandarin, and she did a lot of my marketing for me on Facebook groups, and
that's amazing.
did like a little interview process with my clients who would then come through to me. And then I realized, well, if I could do this online, I can travel, right?
Yes.
So her and I both continued around the world. And it has developed now into a coaching service. I'm not teaching English, but I work on accent reduction for working professionals across Asia. So doctors, lawyers who need to improve their articulation skills to be understood by other countries that need to speak English when it's not their native language.
Interesting.
So, Taiwanese talking with, I don't know, people from Thailand, right? So that's where it's led
It's
to.
very
And it's
niche, but it's very, like, it's amazing.
And when I think back to the roots, it all started because of my working holiday visa and that experience teaching. So
good
that's
on
how
you.
it's. Thank you.
Really cool.
Thank you.
Let's see here. This one is for you, Jen.
Yes.
In countries where you didn't speak the language, like in Japan and Chile, was it harder to adapt? Did it feel more lonely?
A bit, but not too bad. I feel like in Japan, like I said, I'm really comfortable being by myself. So I was okay with it. And I did find that it's important to make friends with locals, like for sure. But in countries like Japan, foreigners like flock together a little bit. Like there are places where you can go and there will be other foreigners. So that helped for sure. Like just like going to those places and making friends with foreigners who know the experience too. And eventually I was dating some guy whose friend had a Japanese girlfriend, and we became like really good friends. Even after both breakups, we became really good friends.
That's
good. Getting all those relationships, like you don't have to do it all the same way. Like it doesn't have to be traditional. You can just like pick up all those pebbles along the way and keep them all with you. So I think like eventually you just find your niche, like in everything. Like even here, like back home, like making friends is not like
as an adult, right?
Like, it's not that easy. You need to go out and do it. So it's very similar. It's just that there's the added thing of like, I might not understand you when you speak, but it's just like one extra little challenge. You know, it's not that bad. Just one
got
thing.
this.
One little thing. It's not that bad.
It's true, yeah.
Yeah, so just go for it. Put yourself out there.
what's the worst that's going to happen? Like, it doesn't go well, and then you never see them again?
Yeah, that's right. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
That's fine.
What can happen.
Yeah. Well, if you had a question that we did not answer, don't worry. Just write them here in the comments and we'll make sure to answer every single one of you guys. And before we go, we have some really cool promotions for you. So if you're backpacking in Canada, especially in Quebec and in Ontario, use the promo code Nomad Junkies. So altogether, Nomad Junkies, when you book a stay at Saint-Lô Hostels. So it will give you 10% off of your booking. So this means more money for you to stretch your trip. If you're looking for the best travel insurance to go on a working holiday visa, check out SoNomad. I will put the link here in the comments. It is the most affordable travel insurance that you can find. And I challenge you to find a better deal. So don't forget, check the links in the comment for SoNomad travel insurance. If you decide to travel and work abroad, you'll find all the details, everything that we've talked about if you want to go to Japan, Taiwan, Australia, Chile, wherever, any of the 30 plus countries where you can do a working holiday visa. I will put the link for International Experience Canada. That's where you'll find all the details on how to apply for each of these countries. So just check the link in the comments. So again, thanks Drew and Jen for joining us and for all of you for joining us today. So as we wrap up this episode, I really hope that this guide has given you the motivation with all of the challenges, the ups and downs, and the tips and tricks that you guys have shared with us to take that leap and conquer homesickness or loneliness during your working holiday visa adventure. It's a phase that you go through, but then with the right mindsets and the tips that we have shared with you, with Jen and Drew sharing all of those amazing tips and advice, you'll be ready to embrace those challenges and seize this opportunity. You've got this, right?
Yeah.
They've got
You've
it.
got this.
They've got
You've
it.
got this. If you like this video, give us a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to our channel where you'll find tons of other videos about the working holiday visa. We will leave the link for all of the videos here in the description.